Hi there. Today is Saturday, January 29th, 2022, making this the week 4 Create Brilliance 2022 podcast update. So, how are you doing? I know it's only been a handful of days since my last update because I recorded that on a Tuesday and I went ahead and I took advantage of the fact that, we went out for lunch, so I've got makeup on and hair done and all that good stuff. Rather than waiting to do it until tomorrow. And I'm not sure if we're leaving the house tomorrow or leaving the apartment, so I'm not sure what if I'd have to put on makeup specifically for this. So, rolling with it. Which is, last week's or last update, I titled it Brilliance is Flexibility or Flexibility is Brilliance, one of those. One of those. Um, Today, I I'm thinking more on the brilliance is not giving up. So I had a little bit of a fumble this week. Um, Going along with the fact, that I forgot last weekend was, had a Sunday in it and that Sundays are when I record videos. Going along with that, I had my days and dates mixed up quite a bit. And I missed a kind of an important deadline because of being traveling and getting my days mixed up and time zone differences and things. And I had to kind of beg for mercy. And thankfully I was granted it. But I kind of I had to grovel for that one, and I'm grateful that I was able to get it resolved, and it's all taken care of now. But here's the thing: in addition to that, it would have been really easy to perhaps get a little discouraged or a lot discouraged, and just say, "Well, there we go. That's I'm screwed for whatever scenario, situation, time frame." So brilliance in this case is not giving up, it's not giving in. Um, Sticking with things, sticking with projects when there's a new idea on the horizon or there's something more interesting, more shiny over here. That's tough, especially for people with ADHD or other neurodivergencies that depend on finding that dopamine, chasing that dopamine day after day. Yeah. The longer a project goes on, the lower the dopamine becomes, that you get from that project. And don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that writing these books, that the Eden Creek series is no longer giving me dopamine. That is not it at all. I am really excited for what the next few books are going to bring, and I have been working on the edits, and I'm about ready to send it to betas. And yeah, things are moving along. It will not be released on the 31st, obviously. But that being said, um, I I had originally planned for book 3 to be out before I even flew out to Arizona. It was supposed to be released. My original time frame, well, the original time frame had it released in December, and then it was supposed to be released at the end of January. And yeah, but even then, I was trying to actually hit more for middle of January, but it didn't happen. Life happened, and I'm learning things. One of the things I'm learning is how long it really takes to, put out each book. Book 1, I had started writing years ago, and then brought it in, finished it, did what I needed to do. Book 2, I did really quickly to an extent. And then book 3 is sort of settling into the process. Well, book 3, it also happened over the holidays and when everything was busy and, there was this, that, and everything demanding attention and where I wanted to put attention. And, I had some breakdowns in my support structure as far as the issues with my therapist office. which are still unresolved. I'll have to tackle those when I get back to Georgia. I'm not worrying about it right now. I don't want it to kind of spoil things out here. So I'm just kind of taking a breather, taking a pause. Then I'll regroup when I get back to Georgia. Um, but yeah, it could be really easy for me to get off track. No, I've already done that. It could be really easy for me to get discouraged. And as part of getting discouraged, walk away from a project that I have put a lot of time and energy in, because the longer things take, the less dopamine there is. So you have to find ways, if you're dopamine driven, you have to find ways to maintain that dopamine. You have to find ways that you can, keep it going, keep things interesting, find the rewards and the perks where you can. Um, so anyway, that is today. That is today. That is this week's lesson in brilliance, I think. Um, and that, last week with the brilliance is flexibility, and this week with brilliance is not getting discouraged. What's a good positive, like without a negative in there? Brilliance is not getting discouraged. Um, Brilliance is perseverance. Maybe that. I don't know. I'm going to play with that a little bit before I come up with the actual title of this week's update. But yeah, so I think I want to try and continue that. It's a work in progress, folks. I mean, life is a work in progress. So this is a work in progress. It's okay. It's okay that I don't have it all figured out. And that's a really big thing. We don't have to have everything figured out from the get-go. We don't even have to have everything figured out until we get to the end and we're like, "Oh, okay. This is the end. We did it. Cool." It's okay to not know exactly what's going on, how you're going to get where you're going, anything like that. It's okay. And so I will continue to work on the book. I will get the book finished and I will move on to book 4. And after a little bit of a break where I'm going to be working on, I've learned not to take too many breaks because breaks lead to distractions. So I'm figuring all that out. It's one thing to write one book or even 2 books. To continue a series on takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And yeah, so I've got my work cut out for me. No, but I want to continue this. I want this lifestyle where I can come out to Arizona for 2 weeks at a time every few months. I want to be able to continue this. Um, I it's important to me. It's important to be able to spend this time with my partner. And that's been another thing is, how he took time off while I was here, and so I wanted to be able to spend that time with him. At the same time, editing is not something that's easily done when you're sitting next to somebody watching a movie or watching a TV show or something. So finding the time, making the time to work. Usually I do it at night. Again, I usually work at night. I'm fairly nocturnal. Back in Georgia on the East Coast time, I'm working usually from 11 to 2 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. That's when my peak work hours are. Translated to Arizona time this time of year when the rest of the world, when the rest of the country, I should say, not the world, the rest of the country is in standard time. That's only a 2-hour time difference. So, is that, am I productive then from 9 to 1 a.m.? No, it's still about midnight to 2. If I'm not tired, then, I'll sometimes get up, if I can't sleep, then I'll get up and I'll edit for an hour and a half or so. And that's how I've gotten, done what I have, but I haven't been really regimented about it. And maybe I could have been. But, I want to spend time with my partner. He goes back to his work schedule starting tomorrow. And so, therefore, my schedule will become a little bit more regimented for the week I had the last week I'm here. I have still been working in other projects, I have still been working on the Sonora Plus shawl. This is actually the top or the neck edge, and you can see that it then, it enlarges down the center and creates a point. Of course, on the needles, it looks a little wonky, but yeah, I've gotten through the first charted section. I'm into the second, or the first repeat of the first charted section. Um, and it's going well. Are there mistakes? Yes. Did I flub something and have to make some adjustments? Yep. But, and this is something I find so much easier in knitting than I do in other parts of life. Maybe because when I'm knitting a piece, a finished row is a finished row. I am not interested in going back and redoing that row because in my world, in my mind, it is already done. It is finito. So why go back and do something if you can, if you can avoid it. If you can avoid it. Some things cannot be avoided. But this section here, right here, is a little bit wider than it was supposed to be because somewhere up in here I had missed a couple of repeats, and I did not take the time to count my stitches and make sure that I was on the right stitch count before I started this charted section. Now, is it okay? Sure. Is anybody else going to know just looking at it if they have not worked the pattern before? Probably not. Are most people going to look at it hardly that closely, that that in depth, that they're going to inspect it? No. So it's fine. And I could have ripped back and I could have redone it. And I know that there are some knitters who would do that. I'm not one of those knitters. I am well, that's done. Is there a way to fix it? Is there a way to work around it kind of girl? Because I don't want to have to go back and do something over again if it can be avoided. And it's easier for me to accept those flaws in a knitting project because I know it'll wear the same. I know I'm not doing anything to affect the fit, the drape, the intrinsic value of the item is not diminished just because there's, a few lines here that should have been down here that were a different color. Not when the basic pattern is the same and the overall structure is maintained. So it's okay. It's a little different in writing. It's a little tougher. It's a little tougher to do that in writing. But in life too, I think is the thing. In life, we don't necessarily see the physical that we've done. And so we get hung up. We get hung up on an oops, on a mistake, on something we've had to work around. And so maybe the lesson in that is for me to treat life more the way I do my knitting. Make a mistake, but you keep going. You figure out a way to work around it and get back where you're supposed to be, and you keep knitting. Because ultimately it's not going to make that big of a difference in the finished fabric. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. Okay, I'm going to go with that. And that's how this happens, people. I'm just sitting here talking with you, and it occurred to me. I did not plan that. But yeah, I think that's a really good metaphor for life and perseverance and just kind of keep on keeping on. So, in the week ahead for you, I wish you the ability to keep on keeping on, to continue on with whatever you're working on, not at any cost, because there are times when we have a project that sometimes we just decide that, or we can determine that, no, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. It's time to switch gears. Did that with my bookkeeping career, and it's scary. because there's that sunk cost fallacy. It's like, I spent 25 years doing this. Oh my goodness, am I just going to throw it all away? No, I didn't throw it all away. That was 25 years spent doing something I was good at. For, it paid bills, it allowed me to learn and grow and meet people, and it gave me the opportunity to build in the background the skills I'm using now. So it's not a sunk cost, and you're not losing that time. You're just changing projects. So if you are in a position where you need to change a project, a small one or a big one, I wish you discernment in that. But if it's just a rough patch, and if it is a rough patch as opposed to an end point, then I wish you perseverance. And I wish you that light at the end of the tunnel, that and the realization that there are issues along the way, but you'll get there, and you'll come out of it, and you'll see that, okay, it was okay. I survived. I learned something, and now I can keep going. So that's my wish for you, that you keep going, and that you make some time for yourself, and however that looks for you. Until next time, bye bye.